Well, hey there guys, Jesse Roberge back again, and I'd like to talk to you today about gas-electric hybrid vehicles and why we should be driving them. And here's one reason why. In the United States alone, on average, each year 30,000 people die because of gas emissions created by combustion engine vehicles. Now, I'm not talking about just your average daily driver. I'm talking about your buses, your state buses. I'm talking about your factory and construction type vehicles. And I'm talking about SUVs, talking about those large trucks we see, especially in the lovely state of Colorado. Guys got to drive their big trucks. My number one goal with this speech today is going to be to convince you to get rid of that combustion engine vehicle and at least consider, if not purchase, a hybrid electric vehicle. There are many in use today all over the world. They're not just used for private transportation. They're used by city and local authorities for public transportation, and it's the best thing that's happened to this country and then this planet since sliced bread. So I got a few things I want to talk to you about real quick. The same technology, when we talk about combustion engines, has been in use since the Second World War. Now, I find it hard to believe that we haven't found a better way, other than hybrid electric vehicles, to get to work every day. Other than riding a bicycle, there's not a lot of different means for people. Our dependency on oil and natural gases is becoming our downfall. Now, with the gas prices still at an all-time high, they've actually gone down slightly, but we all know that they're going to eventually go back up. So there's never been a better time to consider a new technology for getting to work and getting around in our daily lives. Now, bicycles were the first inventions to start using a battery-powered assist. They actually mounted a battery and an electric motor within the frame of the bicycle, and with the pedaling action there was a charge that was created, and they ran that to a DC motor in the rear hub, and it would actually assist in propelling that vehicle. Now, it's grown astronomically since then, but we need to focus on a little bit more. I actually plan on purchasing one myself here pretty soon, and I encourage you guys to do the same. The DC motor. It's come a long ways in size and strength. It was originally, like I said, used for bicycle transportation during the Second World War. They used a lot of smaller type carts, and they used basically just a motor and a large battery. No other way of generating its own electricity other than hooking it up to a charger. It was very rudimentary, it was very inefficient, but it was gas free. They were saving a lot of money back then by getting around by using the actual carts and bicycles with a battery-powered motor instead of a gas engine. Now, back in 2001, the lithium-ion battery became the forefront of the hybrid electric vehicle industry. They were able to store so much more energy to allow that vehicle to be legitimately used within a person's typical day. They couldn't compete due to the nature of the fact that the battery power would die so quickly, and they had to find different ways of keeping the current from being expelled as soon as you step on that gas pedal. They used interrupters, chirpers they called them, and it actually stuttered the flow, the current flow, so that it wouldn't burn out the battery and kill the motor within just stepping on the gas pedal in the first instance. Now, in this day and age, we've started using a lot more of lighter materials such as carbon fiber, plain aircraft quality aluminum with vehicles. We've taken them and we've downgraded them, and they're becoming more abundant, so we can actually use those to create vehicles. Now, in doing so, it's caused these vehicles to become in lighter weight, and they become more efficient. So the less weight that the vehicle's got to push around, the farther it's going to run on one battery charge. The number one thing I want you to take away from this speech today is going to be the gas savings that you're going to incur by using a electric hybrid motor vehicle. When we talk about hybrid electric, we're stating simply that there is a small combustion engine alongside with an electric motor. Now, some of the vehicles that are being sold today don't rely solely on that combustion engine. They can actually run a full day on the electric motor, depending on how well the battery was charged the night before and how strong and how large that battery capacity is. They have started to drift away from hybrid electric, and they're starting to look now into the solely electric market, cutting out the need for gas altogether and changing the oil in the vehicle altogether. Some of the average miles per gallon for some of these cars is anywhere from 35 to 50. I've seen it at 70 miles per gallon, which is absolutely outstanding when you consider the average combustion engine only gets about 19 miles per gallon. So when we talk about solely electric, there is no such thing as miles per gallon. We're running solely on that battery power and the charge that we gave it the night before. The cars are only starting to get cheaper now. We saw the first few with the Toyota Prius and a lot of the hybrid, like the Ford Explorer and some of the larger SUVs. They went with hybrid. It was very basic. They didn't really affect it. They put a small electric motor assist next to that large V6 combustion engine in some of those vehicles, and they increased them by 10-15 miles per gallon on average, but it wasn't substantial enough to corner the market. They sold really well. People were really interested in it due to the fact that the gas market was so high at the time that people bought them like crazy. Now, what they've started to do is create newer vehicles like the Honda CR-Z that just came out this year. It's actually a stick shift, 6-speed manual transmission that you can get that is an electric hybrid motor that averages about 40 miles per gallon. And the great thing is that they're getting so much cheaper now that you can actually compare them to the more expensive, or excuse me, some of the cheaper combustion engine cars out there, and it becomes feasible for you to own. Now, when they first came out, cars like the Chevy Volt, when it first came out, it's still up around $40,000. It's a little bit out of the price range for some people, but I find that if you were to take that little bit more of an investment, pay a little bit more up front, a car like that is going to pay for itself sooner than you'd possibly imagine. Considering on how much you travel and how much gas that you were spending in your previous car, it's going to pay off itself in a matter of a short amount of time. Some of the questions that I would expect from you guys if you were actually sitting here in front of me was basically, what are the insurance rates on cars like these? They're actually much cheaper because you consider the lifespan. You're going to get tax credits from the U.S. government for using an electric vehicle. They're trying to push harder than ever nowadays to get people to get away from the combustion engine and start using alternate means of transportation. Lifespan, the lifespan on these cars is actually pretty good. Like I said, they're starting to use lighter materials, much stronger materials to make these vehicles. It all depends on the battery life, and the motor itself doesn't need oil. It doesn't need a lot of the components that regular combustion engines need. So they can live 3-4 times the length of a regular combustion engine. So their lifespan is actually really well. And according to MotorAuthority.com, they've rated the #1 seller so far since the invention of the hybrid electric vehicles has been the Toyota Prius. It's actually done really well. They've evolved that vehicle a lot over the last few years. It was kind of ridiculed a little bit when it first came out because it wasn't the prettiest looking thing in the world, but it's gotten a lot better. Its functionality has become a lot better, and it's a lot cheaper nowadays. So my question for you is, how important is the atmosphere of this planet to you? Now, I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about you and the people in your life, your kids. When you consider what I said at the start of this speech, that we're killing 30,000 people on average because of vehicle emissions every year, you have to ask yourself, how important is it to me, and am I willing to do something about it? Thank you, and I hope you guys have a great holiday. Bye-bye.